Well, I know there's no silly questions, but I'm going to ask you a silly question. Reverting back to the infinity design
Yeah.
between physicality and spirituality, and we go in cycles. When you have something repetitively coming into your life in a cycle, over and over and over and over, and you try every outlet that you can, is there something that you're supposed to be learning from that, or
No.
teaching from that? Or
Could be. Not learning, but could be teaching. We have nothing to learn. We have come here with nothing to learn. We have only to remember.
Remember.
But would you be willing to, would you care if you just opened up to us what that thing might be that keeps on visiting your life?
Certainly.
Good.
My father was bipolar, and I grew up from a little kid with a bipolar father.
Yeah.
All right. So you walk eggshells all the time because you
Yeah.
never know where they're going.
Yeah.
I have a 35-year-old son who's bipolar, and I walk eggshells. He lives with me, and I walk eggshells with him all the time. And I just found out I have a 16-year-old granddaughter. And this keeps coming back into my life and back into my life, and I want to help them. And I just wondered.
Gosh, thank you for that example.
I mean,
You know this lady?
no, but I understand.
Aren't you sweet to give her that nice energy? Oh, that was so sweet. I thought maybe she might be, a relative of yours. Oh, thank you for just moving that energy across the space between you. That's very gentle of you. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Is it your clarity that you are in fact creating this recurring event?
I couldn't have invented my father.
Really? Don't be so sure. But is it possible that you could have, in a sense, chosen him, that is, decided at the soul level to swoop into the life of a person who was bipolar? Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay, so in that way, you could have created life with a bipolar person, correct?
3 times.
Well, I'm just asking, just talk. Yeah, third time's a charm. I don't know, just didn't know what to say.
Well, I've had almost 70 years of dealing with this.
Yeah, okay, but now,
And I'm
let's start at the beginning.
I want to fix it before it's too late.
Well, is there a part of you that can embrace the idea that you may have, in fact, at the soul level, intentionally produced these recurring connections with bipolar human beings?
Yes.
Good, thank you. Because I think that it's true. And if you can embrace that, then we have a basis on which to have a dialogue. Now, if you, in fact, did create, by whatever manner, we don't have to get into how did I do it, but if you are willing to acknowledge that you could have created that intentionally at the soul level, why do you think you would have done that?
All I can think of is school, learning patience, or more compassion, or more understanding.
Could be.
On my part, for them.
Yes. Could be. But let me ask you a question. Supposing you had nothing to learn, supposing you came here as a blessed being, an individuation of divinity, which had nothing to learn, then what reason would you have to have created such a recurring experience?
Challenge?
So I'm going to invite you now. What is your name? Bonnie. Bonnie, I'm going to invite you to assign a reason to the event, because this is a powerful, powerful device that I want to share with all of you. Post-event assignment is simply my little phrase that describes the process by which we can decide why we created a thing long after we created it, as opposed to before we created it. And post-event assignment, that is, assigning a reason after the event, can be extraordinarily healing. It can be, in fact, remarkably curative of the pains that surround and the frustrations that surround certain events. Let me give you an example to make it simple to understand. Sai Baba, who declares himself to be the living, breathing reincarnation of divinity, that is, God made man, was giving a satsang about 4 or 5 years ago, at which time he was around 82. He's about 85 or 86 now, but 82 then. And he fell down off the stage as he was leaving and broke his hip. And the gathered multitudes, and there were 1,500 people there, all of his devotees, were just aghast. And a collective gasp went up from the crowd. God! And they rushed to him and carried him out. And he was in rehabilitation for about 3 months. He had got a broken hip at 82. You don't ordinarily recover from that, in a couple of days. They brought him back in about 3 months later, and he was okay, hobbling a bit, but okay. Sat down in his little chair, did his satsang, and then it came time for the usual question period. Now, Sai Baba speaks in a very high voice, as all gurus do. Are there any questions? And of course, the first question from the devotees, Master, how could you, you declare yourself to be the living God. Yes, that is true. Then, how could you, I don't understand, why would you give yourself a broken hip? That had to be painful, and you've been in recovery for 3 months. Why did you do that? And Sai Baba replied, I haven't decided yet.